Welcome to the Confessional Close-Up. My name is Christine Cisneros, and I'm so pleased that you are joining me here. Yes, welcome to the Confessional Close-Up. This is a special thank you to Phoenix of PIR, Patriot Intel Report. I wanted to say thank you to Phoenix for his positivity. In the past, I have seen or regarded that word, I think, at least subconsciously, as sort of a kind of a foo-foo, sort of nebulous, new agey sort of term. But what I wanted to take this moment today, this morning, to acknowledge is that, of course, being the leader that Phoenix is, we have all benefited from his information, his perspective, and also his tips of the day on how to improve our quality of life, not just during emergencies or difficult times, but also during times wherein we might find ourselves just wanting to have a better experience of life. Sometimes thank yous are words of gratitude and they're general. But today I wanted to say a specific thank you about something that I feel has helped me to make the transition out of the conditioned thinking that I know I have lived in, grown up in, and been surrounded by here in Seattle, Washington. I had sort of a novel idea that in preparing for the bad times, a tiny breakthrough I had was, what about preparing for the good times? Because otherwise, what is all this for? And really, what good is it for us to gather and be together as we are intended to be if we aren't looking forward to the good times? Again, this has always kind of been a nebulous, far-fetched, pie-in-the-sky idea to me. You know, something nice to say, but really, I guess I used to feel like, well, once you check into planet Earth and see that, Houston, we have a problem, then reality will set in and your joy will be inevitably hampered, perhaps for your own good, to expect something far less than what your dreams might bring. Or as Phoenix reminds us, what dreams may come. My dreams have been very vivid lately, and what I can see in them is the reflection of my consciousness, as what's underneath is always made apparent through the communication with ourselves through our dreams. In short, what I'm finding is the advice that Phoenix has given us all, and that has reminded us again and again of what the true laws of circulation and the laws of nature and God are about joy and about expectation and about sowing and reaping, are that we are not simply to go out to the field and harvest what's there with no clue about what we'll pull out of the ground. The real work of joy is being prepared, willing, and brave enough to sow the seeds of happiness so that we are not just nourished by the end result, but by the positive intention and expectation of what we are planting. I know that he is interviewing Bob Gilpatrick and that he will be releasing that. He told us that yesterday. I'm looking forward to that because both of these men are always interested in bringing what is positive to you and I. And they share tools and ideas that will actually help everyone to achieve the joy, the nurturing, and the harvest in all aspects. When I think of how negative it is to have lived in an environment where the perpetuation of suffering in order to harvest votes, dollars, and souls, and even more things of a dark agenda, I can see how easy it is to live in cynicism and the pessimistic nihilism that nearly always leads to the feared outcome and a life compromised as a result of our incessantly dampened joy. The fight we are facing is not just for the liberties found in our country, but for the liberties that we have been given by God to enjoy our lives and to be happy in our pursuit as well as the eventual outcome of what we work at. When the scriptures say that we will reap what we sow, we can be assured that that is true. We can see it as a warning, and in a way it is, but in calibration to the fact that it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, what we know is that we are also gifted with free will and the ability to refuse this joy and happiness. As there have been some very complex and difficult situations that I've faced in the last couple of weeks, actually last 3 weeks, I had a conversation with my sister-in-law. She pointed out to me that she noticed in the past couple of years that what was significantly different about my life is that I chose to be happy. Now, in that choosing, I didn't know what that entailed. I didn't know that there would be work involved in being happy, that the choice to be happy actually involved several subsequent choices. At the time that that choice was made, I'm pretty certain that I more chose to let go of the unhappiness, not knowing what it would take to be happy. And just like any sort of nutrition, it has always been far easier for me to stay away from things that are not going to nourish me, and more difficult for me to actually implement the things that will. As we're seeing the last kickings and screamings and scratchings of this dark energy predominantly leaving the planet, what we will find, I think, in this darkness is the chance to illuminate where we have taken on some of the traits and some of the ways of being that we find so abundant on the planet right now. Wouldn't it make sense that there will be work in directing our own light, in unimpeding it, so that the light that we want to grow brighter on the planet initially comes from us? As well, there seems to be a relief in me about that it's actually okay to have joy, to have happiness, particularly at this stark time in our history. I love how Phoenix says in his reports that when he hears that people are, quote, broke, or that they are having a really difficult time, or they don't know how they're going to see their way out of a situation, he says, great news. Why? Because that's where the miracles step in. And it is evident to me that through these difficult things that have gone on this year, at least for myself and some others that I know, that though I may not know what is next, what I do know is that I will be shown, and that in order for me to be prepared for the joy of what is next, and for really the reason to be living for what is next, then the recalibration of how I see difficulty, complexity, even tragedy, must transform along with the energy on the planet. This is a time that we have been called to be leaders, and the difficult task of being a leader is thereby made worthwhile and pertinent by our ability to allow the light in, our ability to allow the light out, and our growing skills for the ability to live in that paradise that we so desire. I also think about Jesus when he turned to the criminal next to him as he was dying, and the criminal said, "Please, Lord, remember me when you get to your kingdom." Jesus replied, "Truly I say to you that you will be with me in paradise this day." And when I think about that, what comes to me is that the paradise was occurring right at that moment, because the consciousness could then shift to the acceptance of that which God wants to give us continually, and that is available to us at all times. As in the words of the late, great Eddie Money, I've got 2 tickets to paradise. And he says, got a surprise especially for you, something that both of us have always wanted to do. We've waited so long. I'm going to take you on a trip so far from here. I've got 2 tickets in my pocket. Now, baby, we're going to disappear. We've waited so long. I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Won't you pack your bags? We'll leave tonight. Sounds like a bug out bag, doesn't it? I'm going to take you on a trip so far from here. I've got 2 tickets in my pocket. Now, baby, we're going to disappear. You want to know why? Because we've waited so long. And I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Patriots, our tickets to paradise were purchased a long time ago. And as we pack our bags and leave this night of darkness, after having waited so long, let's adjust not who we are, but how we are. Accept the good gift that God wants us to have of our joy, as well as the destinations that we will see along these tracks of joy. And no matter where we transition or transcend, every moment will be worth it.